Not too long ago, Sightings contacted the Excalibur Club in Chicago to confirm some stories that we'd heard about ghosts roaming around that popular night spot. We found out that not only are the stories true, they're only the tip of the paranormal iceberg at the Excalibur. When our investigative team arrived on the site, they learned that the place was soaked with the blood of Chicago's two greatest disasters. And when they began snapping pictures, something strange happened. Psychic investigators on site believe this photograph is evidence of paranormal activity.
There are two clear presences on that photograph, detectable energetic presences, which means that something strange happened.
The activity is happening inside this historic building, now called the Excalibur nightclub in downtown Chicago. The club's dome room seems to be the focus of intense and persistent haunting, an eerie energy that seems to attract a certain kind of customer.
It's a very underground club. A lot of the people that hang out in the club, they're into the occult, the darker aspects of the club scene definitely hang out here. And I'm sure a lot of that is due to the energy that's in this room.
But it is the club's employees who seem to bear the brunt of the haunting in the dome room. Tom Neubauer is the club's creative director. Many shaken employees have confided in him about their ghostly encounters after closing time.
At the end of the night, if everybody's left and we're closing up the club, there's candles, lit, set throughout the club. The waitresses or the bartender, whoever's breaking down the room, they'll go throughout the room, blow all the candles out, and they've walked in 5-10 minutes after they've blown all this stuff out, and the candles will all be relit, and we're talking like 30, 40, 50 candles.
I became a believer when I first saw the candles. The first time, and then the second time, and then the third time. And then I thought maybe somebody's playing tricks. But when I locked down the room myself, and I have the key, I truly believe there's something going on here. What it is, I don't know.
What we do before the club opens at night is just kind of run upstairs and do a bathroom check. And I ran up there and I ran in there and I actually thought, I was like, haha, I'm all alone, maybe I'll see a ghost. And went to wash my hands and I had heard crying, and at first I was like, what is that? And I stopped for a moment and I was just this really small voice just crying. I was just, get out of here as fast as possible.
I saw something right beyond this bar. I walked in to shut the lights off, and next thing I see is a white tuxedo feature with reddish hair glowing beyond the bar. I looked one more time to make sure, and it was gone. There was nothing there.
I had one experience. I smelled the most horrible stench of just death, rotting flesh that I've ever experienced in my life. It was almost made me pass out. It was so intense. There's no other place in the entire room that you could smell it, just in this one little spot. And we looked around, there's no explanation whatsoever.
A possible explanation for that foul stench was revealed when a Sightings investigative team began to research Chicago's tragic past and its connection to this landmark. In the 19th century, this was the site of the Chicago Historical Society. It burned down during the famous Chicago fire of 1871.
There's one account by the librarian of the Chicago Historical Society who claims that as he was trying to save items from this building, the building was here in 1871 when it was burning, and had to jump for his life, that there were some women who had come inside the building to escape the fire. There's a possibility that those women perished in this building.
Although not as famous as the Chicago fire, a pleasure boat disaster in 1915 claimed nearly 10 times as many lives.
The Eastland disaster occurred on July 24th, 1915, when the Eastland, which was a excursion boat, capsized in the Chicago River, and the 2,500 people on board, about between 800 and 900 people died. And there were women, children, and it had a terrible impact on people in the city. It was a tragedy. Nothing like that had ever happened. There's also been some speculation that after the Eastland disaster in 1915, that that this building we're in now was one of the temporary morgues that had been set up for the victims.
Because the building was intimately connected to the two most deadly disasters in Chicago history, Sightings asked two renowned investigators to evaluate the site. Jorianne Defray, working psychically, and Peter Moscow, hunting for scientific evidence. They were not told the building had been a morgue, but Jorianne senses it right away.
In this area, my chest is actually feeling pretty heavy. And I had heard a sense of watching out for the bodies before. Would this at one time have been a place where there would have been bodies or something?
Well, when they had the big naval disaster in the Chicago River, the Eastman,
Yeah.
the cruise ship capsized, and there were hundreds of people that died. This room was used as a temporary morgue.
Oh, this room was? Oh,
Yeah.
great. Okay. I just heard something like, stop and watch me, stop and watch me. Okay, and that's actually up in this area. Somebody like wanting to be watched. I don't know if it was along the catwalk. And I had picked up the sense of like a child. One of the very significant presence that I felt here was a little child running around. And it appeared as though this child was running around looking for its mommy, wanting to find its mother.
Jorianne may have sensed one of the Eastland's tiniest victims, a child who was never claimed because his entire family died in the disaster.
Okay, right here, I'm getting a sense that somebody's behind that bar. And almost like, I don't know, doing some kind of serving or something else to somebody else that's out here. And it kind of feels like they are not alive.
One of the managers had an experience where he saw a bartender in a white tuxedo
Good deal.
with reddish colored hair.
You got it, Peter? Got
It
something?
flashed just as I turned around here, right into this
Oh,
area.
good deal.
As I turned around, it went from about a 4.5 to 5 all the way up to the 15 on the dial there. So right in this area here, I believe you're going to find who you're looking for.
Yeah.
There was a tremendous burst of energy.
It was in this same bar area that Peter's camera went off by itself. Our cameras didn't catch the event, but here is the end result.
This photograph I took of the bar after we'd picked up the information about the barman standing there behind the bar. This photograph I did not take. I heard the camera click. Clearly there are some abnormally strange streaks of light in this, which I cannot account for. I think it's the barman that triggered this abnormal photography.
I thought it was fantastic that the camera had gone off by itself and that we had actually picked up energy on the photograph.
Anything that happens with a camera doesn't prove the point 100%. But I think that it is spiritual evidence of what we're looking for.
When Jorianne and Peter completed their evaluation, it was clear to them that the haunting is being caused by spirits from Chicago's painful past. This has given the employees a poignant new outlook. Finally, they can put names and faces to the spirits here. Peter Moscow and Jorianne Defray were brought in only to help identify the source of the haunting. Having done so, it's now up to the people who work in the building to decide whether they should ask a psychic investigator to perform a cleansing or instead to respect the spirits and their otherworldly claim to that property.